It really does feel as though we are reaching the point where Guardiola's Manchester City can no longer be described as a flawless machine. And this is not just about the results. It is about the growing sense that, for the first time in years, this side no longer looks untouchable. Back in November 2024, Pep signed a contract extension through to the summer of 2027, and the way he explained it was telling. He said he could not leave now. In other words, the idea of leaving was already there, but inside the club, the feeling was that he could not walk away in the middle of a turbulent period. More than that, his words pointed to something else as well. The squad needed refreshing. Some players would have to go, others would have to come in if the team were to maintain its level beyond the end of his cycle. That no longer sounded like a manager simply trying to see out another season. It sounded like the beginning of a rebuild. And that is where the real story starts. The problem at City is not that Guardiola has suddenly become a worse coach. The problem is that this team has reached the natural limit of its cycle, and over the course of the season, that crisis has only been made worse by injuries. In December 2024, Pep said quite openly that the main reason for the decline was the absence of 7 or 8 important injured players. Later, he described the campaign as one heavily affected by injuries and stressed that it was a challenge rather than a catastrophe. When key structural players drop out, it is not just the lineup that suffers. The entire architecture of the game begins to break down. The rhythm, the pressing, the control and possession, the defensive cover, the build-up from the back. For a Guardiola side, that is critical, because it is built not on chaos, but on the precision of its mechanisms. Because of that, Pep was forced to make strategic decisions in the market rather than cosmetic ones. Unfortunately for City, almost all of those transfer moves have fallen flat. You can start with the defensive pair of Kusanov and Gueye. Both are still too young and too inexperienced for a club with expectations and objectives of this level. Marmoush's expensive arrival has not paid off either. At best, he has ended up as a third-choice option, a player who makes his impact mainly in second-tier matches rather than the biggest ones. Then there is Nico Gonzalez. Honestly, it is still difficult to understand why City spent such a huge £60 million fee on him, unless it was simply for added squad depth. Foden belongs in this conversation as well. Yes, he is a product of the club's own system, but he still has not truly lived up to the weight of Haaland's crisis too. The Norwegian went an entire calendar month without scoring, which dealt a serious blow to both his image and his reputation as a relentless goal machine. So, will Guardiola leave City at the end of this season? Based on the official statements, the answer right now is probably no. After the defeat to Real Madrid in March 2026, he said plainly that he intended to stay until the end of his contract in 2027. Even earlier, in the spring of 2025, he clarified his comments about taking a break from management. Yes, once he leaves City, he wants time away from the game, but that does not mean an exit is imminent. Reuters also reported that Pep is not planning to leave the club in the near future. So, as things stand, the most careful and evidence-based conclusion is this. A departure in the summer of 2026 does not look like the most likely outcome, and the default expectation is that he stays in Manchester for at least one more season. And what happens after that, when he eventually does leave? Guardiola has already given us a strong indication. He wants a break. He has said that once his time at City is over, he will definitely step away for a while, although he does not yet know whether that pause will be short or long. At the same time, in an interview with Reuters, he admitted that international football does appeal to him and that he would like one day to experience the cycle of a World Cup, a European Championship, or a Copa America. So, if we take him at his word, the next phase of Pep's career is not another club straight away, but first a period of rest and then, perhaps, a move into the international game. And that is exactly why this conversation about the end of an era should not be reduced to Guardiola is finished. That is far too simplistic. What we are really watching is the end of that particular version of Manchester City. the version that suffocated opponents for years through automatisms, control, and overwhelming depth. Pep understands that as well. He is no longer guiding a ready-made machine towards yet another title. He is trying to build the next one. And that is the real paradox of this moment. The end of a great era may already have begun, but Guardiola himself does not look ready to walk away just yet. Rather than escape at the point where things begin to crack, he seems determined to stay and try to lead the club through it.